Now, the head of Russia's Wagner mercenary group has raised the Russian flag over Bakhmut city hall in eastern Ukraine. Yevgeny Prigozhin said Bakhmut is now Russian in all legal sense. In a social media video post, he said he was displaying the flag as a tribute to the pro-war blogger killed in Sunday's bomb blast in St. Petersburg. A Ukrainian army general staff, however, says its forces are still in control of Bakhmut.
It is April 2nd, 11 p.m. The building behind me is the city administration building. This is a Russian flag. It says on the flag, "In good memory of Vladlen Tatarsky." From a legal point of view, Bakhmut has been taken, and the commanders that were storming the administration and the whole quarters will carry to install those flags. The flag of PMC Wagner, they were the guys who have stormed Bakhmut. From a legal point of view, it is ours. The enemy is concentrated in the western parts of Bakhmut.
Now, Arise Chief Correspondent John Cookson has been monitoring developments, and he joins us now live from London for more. Good day, John, and a very, very warm welcome to Newsday. Let's get into it as we always do. Of course, there are confusing reports about Bakhmut, the Wagner Group saying that they've taken it. Now, who do we believe in this instance?
I think we should keep an open mind right now. Clearly, Mr. Prigozhin was outside City Hall, but that's not the whole of Bakhmut, of course, and he acknowledged in that tape that, in fact, the enemy, i.e. the Ukrainians, this is a Ukrainian city, of course, are still in control in the west. So I think the Russian forces, Wagner Group, have taken part of the city, 9 months fight, tens of thousands of soldiers killed on either side. We're just looking at latest images coming in from Bakhmut to Arise there. I mean, the fighting is still clearly going on. It's very intense. And certainly the city as a whole has not fallen to Wagner forces. Just remind ourselves they are a mercenary group who do Putin's dirty work around the world, some 50,000 in number. They're thought to be around 12,000 at any one time fighting in Bakhmut. Many of them are prisoners from Russian jails, in prison for some of the most violent crimes, including murder. So those are the kind of people that Prigozhin uses to fight his wars. They tend to act independently of the Russian army and other forces like the Chechens. They don't get on with, but even though they're fighting on behalf of Moscow. So it's a complicated scenario. I think we'll only know for sure in the coming days. But I think from the images that you've just been showing, which came in, I got them in just about an hour or so ago, clearly fighting is still going on there. So victory for the Wagner Group is not there yet.
Well, thank you, Joe. Now, if Russia now controls the city, just how significant is that?
It's significant in the sense that it's a Pyrrhic victory for the Russians because, as you can see from the images, there's not much left of this former mining time. It's strategically, it's fairly important for the Russians. They can use this as a springboard, if you like, to launch attacks elsewhere in the region. So to that extent, it's an important victory for the Russians. As for the Ukrainians, you remember last week that President Zelensky gave an interview to our colleagues at Associated Press when he said if Bakhmut falls, then he will be under a lot of pressure from his own people to do something to end the war. So it's essential, I think, for the Ukrainians to try to regain the ground that they may well have lost to the Wagner Group, to take a little bit of pressure off Zelensky. But clearly, it's strategically important for the Ukrainians and symbolic too. This will be yet another city, a Ukrainian city, which has fallen to Russian forces.
Right, now let's turn to the killing of the pro-war blogger Vladlen Tatarsky and the blast in St. Petersburg. What more do we know about the female suspect who has been detained?
She is in custody at the moment, and a little bit later, the Russians have released what they say is a confession tape, and will be airing it on Arise. And she said that she had no idea what was in the statuette that she handed over, and when asked who gave it to her, she said, "Can I tell you later?" So we'll be hearing more about this interrogation confession tape from the Russians. She was already on the radar of Russian special forces. She's been an activist, a well-known activist in Russia against the war. And she carried out this attack in St. Petersburg. And that's symbolic too, because that's the home city of President Putin. So it has greater significance because of that.
Well, thank you, John. There's speculation that she acted alone. Do you think that is the case?
Well, the Russians think not. As I said, she clearly has something more to tell. And the Russians believe that she might be acting with a group who are supporting Alexei Navalny, who, as you may recall, was attacked by Russian forces, secret forces, with radioactive material in 2020. He was then arrested in 2021 and is in jail at the moment. So they believe that she might be acting in concert with Navalny's supporters. And it was a relatively sophisticated attack. I said in my report she walked coolly into the cafe and handed this statuette with a bomb inside over to the man that she presumably knew was going to die. And it was a carefully planned attack, it seems, and she made good her escape, but then she was arrested. So I would be surprised if she did act alone. She was an activist, but was she a bomb maker? Probably not.
All right. Well, I suppose we'll be keeping tabs on the story as it develops. John Cookson, thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure to get your insight on these hot issues.